This is the engine car. See, it says General Hammond 1. It's decorated for Christmas, obviously, but it is General Hammond number 1, CP Iron Co. That's Crown Point Iron Company. This is the engine of the railroad. It ran at one point before it was converted to rubber tires on the railroad bed that I'm going to show you in the next segment. This is showcased in Ticonderoga at the used car dealership. Just give you a walk around. General Hammond number 1. Fun. Lots of fun. I have no idea if this is a replica or a real thing. So, this is a video of the Crown Point Iron Company railroad bed. A segment of it. This is Amy Hill Road in Crown Point. That sign there is for that turn is Bush Road. We are just a 1/10 of a mile west of the Bush Road turnoff on Amy Hill Road. On the south side of Amy Hill Road, the railroad bed takes off. And it goes, oh, we've been on here, not even a mile, less than a mile, and it'll cross another Crown Point road called Towner Hill Road. That's where I parked the car, and we walked it. So some fun facts about this railroad. This railroad was built in the late 1700s. This particular section was built in 1873, so late 1800s, not 1700s, 1873. And this railroad ran for about 20 years. It was privately owned by the Crown Point Iron Company, so it's the Crown Point Iron Railroad. Some facts. Well, it was a narrow gauge railroad. I don't know much about railroads, but I know that means the tracks weren't as wide as normal railroad. It ran about 13 miles. It ran from the downtown of Crown Point, which is on Lake Champlain, which is, I don't know what, a couple hundred feet above sea level. So it ran from that level all the way up to the mines that were in Hammondville, which is an abandoned town back in the woods of Crown Point. It lies in the woods between Stony Lonesome Road, Old Furnace Road, the Creek Road, and Ledsonville Road on the other side. Just in the middle of nowhere. It's all paper company land now, lime timber. But this railroad ran from downtown Crown Point to Hammondville, 13 miles, and it had quite the climb. So I was saying a couple hundred feet. The level of Lake Champlain to the level back in the woods there's up over 1,000 feet, maybe like 1,200 feet. So you're looking at quite the climb, about 1,000 feet, maybe a little less. And it was very windy because it tried to avoid a lot of hills. I mean, if you look at it on a map, the layout of it wound all over the place, avoiding hilly terrain. So this is impressive construction. So you're looking at a railroad bed that was laid 1873. This is 2021, January, and it's still here. Obviously, maintained by people who want to, who knows what, snowmobile or whatever they do here. I've seen a lot of chainsaw marks. So, Crown Point Iron Company, Hammondville, back in the woods. It's a lot of shafts and mines in there. It's a big operation. They had, 4,000 employees working. There was some furnaces, big smelting operation. There's photos of all this kind of stuff on the Adirondack Museum webpage, or you could Google it. You'll get photos. Hammondville or Crown Point Iron Company, all kinds of photos of this operation. Yeah, they had huge furnace, lots of mine shafts, all kinds of underground stuff back there in Hammondville, which is part of the reason why it's not really never really turned into a publicly accessible or tourism-based thing, because it's a safety hazard. There's lots of places, you see how steep the embankment is on either side going down. Lots of places where the earth could cave in or you could fall through shafts. So it's pretty dangerous to go back in there. It's also all private property because it's owned by the timber company, and it's all posted off because hunting groups, hunting camps lease it. I believe it's the Knob Pond camp, that association that leases that section of it. So yeah, they hauled iron out of here for several years. Let's see, Hammond, that's a General Hammond. He was a general in the Civil War. He was a very prominent citizen of Crown Point. That's why Hammondville is named after him. This railroad I was just looking at earlier today, there's a engine from one of these trains. They had all kinds of engines and cars. They had passenger cars on here. They had obviously cargo cars because they were hauling iron ore. But I was looking at an engine that's called the General Hammond engine, number 1. That's downtown in Ty, right in front of the used car dealership. He's got it all lit up with his Christmas light display. Ty, as in Ticonderoga, New York. So here we are. This is, once again, Crown Point, New York. Crown Point Iron Company railroad bed. And I was telling you some facts about the railroad. What else do I know? So, like I said, it's quite a elevation move, so it was quite the chug going up. I read some stuff about not even averaging about 10, 12 miles an hour going up from the downtown Crown Point around Main Street up into the Hammondville. On the way back, obviously, they had a bigger problem because at that point they were loaded down with cargo, iron ore, or iron, because they had the smelter out there too, so on Old Furnace Road. So probably they were just burning brakes the whole way down, most of the way down, back into town. When it got into town, it hooked up with a railroad that's running north-south along Lake Champlain. That's how the ore was transported. What happened with this ore? It was considered very high-quality ore. It was used for some famous construction things, such as the Brooklyn Bridge in New York City. That was built with Crown Point Iron Company iron. Cooking right down this railroad. On a obviously the tracks were gone, but yeah, so the Brooklyn Bridge passed right past where we're walking over 100 years ago. This thing shut down 1893, so it was running for 20 years, 1873, 1893. What else we got to mention? Oh, there was the U.S. Navy used this iron when it started to armor ships. That kind of something that started to happen post-Civil War era, the armoring of ships. So I believe it was the U.S. Monitor, that USS Monitor. That ship was built with, not built, but armored with metal plates of iron from these mines in Crown Point iron. Iron also tracked down this railroad bed. If you go down into the town of Crown Point today, there's a park, Monitor Bay, on Lake Champlain. It's not really much of a park. Town of Crown Point kind of struggles with its tourism efforts, but there's a plaque there about the USS Monitor telling you that story. Now, about if you were to go another couple miles along this railroad bed, you'd end up in a place that's today called Ironville on maps. It's on Creek Road of Crown Point, New York. Back in the day, it was called Irondale. Somehow the name switched to Ironville as time went on. It's not something that I could explain to you why, but it happened. And there is a lot you can learn there. It's a Penfield Homestead Museum. Now, Penfield was another wealthy man. In fact, they were related by marriage, somehow or other, with their children. This is the Hammonds and the Penfields. And they're the ones who owned these mines and all this land, and they were the brains behind this operation to bring some economic prosperity to this area in the mid to late 1800s. So Penfield Homestead Museum, there's the house that the Penfields lived in. 3 generations of Penfields lived there. You can go through that house. It's a very cool museum with outlying buildings. If you go down towards where the pond is today, you can walk to some of the bed of this very track because it ran right along the pond. Kind of got lost in obscurity, actually on the homestead property, but then past the homestead, as you get more onto Old Furnace Road, you can catch up the bed, pick up the bed there. It'll intersect Old Furnace Road a few times before it goes off into the woods. Yeah, so for people who like history, old things, Penfield Homestead Museum, it's a great place, very beautiful. There's the Congregational Church there that was built in the 1840s. It's a beautiful spot. Happens to be where I got married, so of course I think it's a beautiful spot. And let's see, so General Hammond, Master Penfield, whole bunch of information about the Civil War there. That's a neat thing. I see. Kind of that point where I'm running out of fun facts, huh? Maybe you don't think my facts are fun anyways, but nonetheless, they're facts. If you were to continue the opposite way from, say, where I stopped on Amy Hill Road there, just a 1/10 of a mile west of the Bush Road intersection, if you were to, instead of going south along the railroad bed, I mean, it's south of Amy Hill Road, but it's really just going west. I'm parallel with Amy Hill Road now. But if you were to go north on the railroad bed, you would go down and around the mountain of Amy Hill Road, Amy Hill, which incidentally used to be called Crown Point Hill. And Amy Hill Road used to be called Crown Point Hill Road. But it would intersect Amy Hill Road again a couple times, or Crown Point Hill Road back then. And it'd end up on Main Street in Crown Point. And it'd go, let's see, along the west side of Main Street behind the houses. And it'd cross. There used to be a Dairy Lee plant, Crown Point. I was reading about this. I don't even know what Dairy Lee is, but I don't know where that plant is in today's terms. And that's where the railroad would actually make its junction with the North-South Railroad along Lake Champlain shores, and that's where the ore would get shipped out by rail. Hammonds and Penfield showed up in this area in early, before the Civil War, so 1840s probably. Started to find out about the iron in this area and the mines, and they started a process of separating before smelting, you pulverize it, and then separating out chunks of rock that had more iron content in them using magnetism, in fact an electromagnet. And so as you enter Ironville today, you'll see a little sign underneath there that says Ironville, birthplace of the electric age. And that is because they used electromagnetism after they pulverized some rock. I'm not sure how they pulverized, but needless to say, they turned on the electromagnet, separated out ore that had iron deposits in it, because that would be better for smelting. As you can see, I've come to the end of the bed kind of becomes indistinguishable here. I'm not sure why. Could be because there's a creek here. It could be because this road has been built. You might be able to see the road I'm referring to. See where I parked my car. Just gonna try to cross this creek without falling in. Yeah. Kind of semi-successful. So I crossed that, going back out. So yeah, birthplace of the electro age, using electromagnetism to process the ore. I think you've had enough fun facts, or less than fun facts for me. Somebody's doing some maple sugaring in this area. We're back up on the actual road where I parked the car. This road here is Towner Hill Road, another Crown Point road. We're only a couple tenths of a mile, quarter mile, less than a quarter mile from the intersection with Amy Hill Road. There's my car. Railroad continues there, but I'll stop the video. Thanks for joining. So I figured I'll show you an aerial view of what we were talking about. This is a larger map. This is a map of the Adirondack Park from the late 1800s. You can see the blue line on there. That's the park boundary. This is before the park had expanded to include Crown Point, but come on in here. Yeah, there's Crown Point. You see the railroad outline there, Crown Point Iron Company. Show you the segment that we walked was that bend right there. Yep. And there's Irondale, as I was talking about. There's where the furnace was on the rail line. This is Hammondville, back in the woods, basically the end of the line, and different points along the line going out to connect with the railroad running along the lake. So that was that narrow gauge railroad, about 12 miles, like I've been talking about. Like I said, this map is, what is this? The Adirondack Forest, 1900. Yeah, there it is, 1900.